How did the Knicks pull this off?
First of all, I like to say sorry to the Knicks and to Jalen Brunson because I've shown them no respect. So, but after this, my hat goes off to them. I didn't see this coming, Skip. I really didn't. When I looked at the series before it started, I thought Philadelphia just had too much manpower for the shorthanded Knicks. I mean, did I know that Jalen Brunson was going to play well? I thought he would play well. I didn't know he was going to play this well. I thought Philly had the best player in the series. They had the third best player in the series. And Maxey, to me, just didn't show up to the party when they needed him most. I thought he was the key to the series. Joel Embiid gave you all he could, despite the circumstances of, him being on one leg, him, dealing with the issues with his eye, and
little bipolar.
I'm still stunned. Truthfully, that a guy like Jalen Brunson, who's had a great year, a phenomenal year, he should be on the All-NBA, maybe first team. Arguably, he can be on the first team. You can make a case for that. Right now, Jalen Brunson is probably the most dominant player. He's the best player in the playoffs right now. I mean, not the best player, but he's playing the best.
Yeah.
He's playing the best in the playoffs. And the Knicks should have had more consideration for Coach of the Year for Coach Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Because he's been doing this all year shorthanded. He hasn't had his players. He's been Anunoby-less for quite some time. He's back for the playoffs. And Brunson has carried this load for the last 2 to 3 months. And just when you just think a little guy of this stature can do it, he's continued to do it. So they're going to ride his coattail. You know what this reminds me of, though, Skip? It reminds me when Isaiah Thomas was in Boston. Remember that ride he had? They rode that to the Eastern Conference Finals, and he just put on a show throughout the play. A short guy you just didn't believe, lefty, same thing. It reminded me of that. But Knicks, ultimately, it came down to the role players. I think Josh Hart was the key to this series. When he had dominant games, rebounding games, and scoring to go along with it, they won. The key for Sixers was their role players. I can't really say too much about Tobias Harris having zero because it was offset by Buddy Hield. I didn't expect him to have 20 either.
Yeah.
So that kind of offsets. But this falls on Tyrese Maxey, your second best player, your all-star. And when they won, he led them.
But he came to the party in the fourth quarter. He just didn't come for the first three.
But he needed more. I needed more out of him throughout the game. Of this magnitude, I needed more out of him. And on the defensive end, he allowed Brunson to do whatever he wanted. I mean, that was just the Sixers' defense in general. They didn't take the ball out of his hands early enough in the game. Yeah. So, my shots out is going to New York Knicks, who play the Indiana Pacers. And I don't know where Philly goes from here. Just moving forward, they need to reconstruct this lineup because Embiid hasn't been out the second round. He's been an MVP. And moving forward for the Sixers, they're going to have to come to some big decisions, I believe, this summer and figure out how can they move forward because with the roster that they have now, they're not going to challenge in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, you say, Skip, how did the Knicks pull it off? I mean, it's simple. It starts with Jalen Brunson. I mean, right?
Well, is it simple? I don't think that's simple.
That's not simple. We shouldn't be able to just dominate the Sixers with Embiid.
Simple. The man done had 40-plus in the last 4 games. He's out there hitting shots when he needs to. When they're trying to trap him, he gets out of the traps and finds the open man and dishes to him. But when I say it's simple, it started with him as he went, just like the Sixers. When Embiid was off the floor, they were bad. When he was on the floor, they were good. It's the same thing. When you say, well, Embiid, there's no way that a little guy is supposed to be the big guy like that. Well, if the little guy's getting a lot of help from the role players...
Well, that's why it's not simple. He did get a lot of help from the role
He did. That's why it's simple to me, because he did his job, which allowed them to be able to do their job. Okay? Embiid did his job to a degree, but if you want to look at certain things, when you say, well, Tobias Harris, 0 across the board, and Buddy Hield playing the way he played, well, they brought Buddy Hield in to shoot those threes, to do the things that he was capable of doing. Doesn't mean that Tobias Harris shouldn't come to the party, too. He also should contribute other than a donut. Now Maxey played well in the fourth quarter. He didn't do well the first 3 quarters. He probably used a lot of that energy in the game before down in Philadelphia, down in New York to force it back to Philadelphia. Maybe he used all that energy and then he couldn't get going. When you look at this, though, as a whole, I think the Knicks are shocking to everybody's system because they don't necessarily have a star player, so to speak. It's almost like Jalen Brunson had to force his way into that conversation, although he's been playing extremely well with them since 2022 when he came over to get the $100+ million and everybody went crazy when they made the decision to pay him. Now, all of a sudden, he's taking them to the second round. People are starting to, it's New York too. People are starting to look at that and go, well, yeah, man, he's really good. Yep. Well, he's been good since he landed there. It's just now they in the second round. They were in the second round a couple years ago. They got bounced by the Atlanta Hawks. But now you look at them, they have a really, I don't want to say an easy path to see potentially the Celtics, but they got they don't have as much stress, let's put it that way, against Indy as they did against the Philadelphia 76ers.
No, I don't believe that.
You don't think so?
No. Even though Philly had the star player, the pace that Pacers play at is going to be a problem for a Knicks team who plays 7 players, and they got a point guard that'll go right back at him that he's got to guard. He's going to have to guard Halliburton. Not at the same level as Maxey as far as scoring, but this dude is constantly putting pressure on the defense, trying to get in the paint, trying to push the ball.
So you like the Pacers?
I like the Pacers.
Do you really? I don't.
I like the Pacers.
I'll still ride these Knicks.
No,
yeah, I think I'm gonna ride the Knicks.
Yeah. Are you're hoping the Pacers will take care of them so they don't threaten your Celtics?
This is no threat to the Celtics.
Right.
One man can't beat the Celtics. That's going for 40 every
But it
night.
really ain't one man though. I know we saying his name a lot, but when you look up and Josh Hart is knocking down threes at forget that he was 3 for 5.
Yeah.
He hit a shot with 25 seconds to go. He pump faked like he was getting ready to pass it. They slid over. He knocked it down dead center, lined it up. That's what you're looking for.
But when you look at the Knicks,
right, Skip? You're looking for that.
That's why it's not simple that it's all Jalen Brunson. The shot of the night was made by Josh Hart. He made one shot in the fourth quarter, and it was the shot.
But the reason I say it's simple is Jalen Brunson in this situation, they tried to trap him in the corner. He got out of they tried to trap him at the top. Yeah. He got out of it, was able to push to the bucket, kick out to Josh Hart. Josh Hart then was going to fake the swing or whoever that was in the corner.
He made the right plays all night.
No, he made the right plays.
No question about that.
Josh Hart is a poor three-point shooter, except when it's time to make one. Against this team, he made them when it was time. All series. He made big shots. He missed a couple of big free throws, but he made up and made up and made up for it.
And then DiVincenzo, he balled.
He balled.
He showed up to the party.
Yeah, he showed up to the party and knocked it down.
And as we've talked about, there are 3 Nova Knicks who love this building because they have won in this building.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to figure out. Do they play their home games in the building or some home games in the building?
Yes, they have.
The Nova Knicks.
Yeah. Okay. So, again, back to Keyshawn's point. Yeah, it's simple after in sort of 20/20 hindsight. You say, well, Jalen Brunson was just too good. And he was way better than I thought he could be, to your point.
Yep, I did.
Because what is he? Is he 6 feet tall? Is he 6'1"? I don't know.
He's 6'2" and a half.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm looking at him, but you know what it is, though? I think he has shorter arms and he's stout. His arms aren't long.
He's not built like a basketball player.
He's not. Every time they try to tell me 6'3", I'm like, no, there's no way.
Yeah. Okay, why did we all 3 pick the Sixers to win this series? It's because of one guy and one guy alone, and that's the 7'1" monster that can be Joel Embiid. And yesterday we talked about scale of 1 to 10, your trust in Embiid to dominate last night, and you were a 10 and you were a 10.
He gave me everything I asked for.
Okay. Did he really? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. All right.
When you need him most.
In the third quarter, they could not stop Joel Embiid, and it's why all of a sudden I look up, Maxey actually hit a 3, and it's 6:54 left in the third quarter, and the Sixers are back in command. They're up 10 points mid-third quarter. Yep. And it was mainly because Joel, because Maxey's 3 gave him 5 points for the whole game at that point. But Joel Embiid had 17 third-quarter points.
Yep.
And every time I looked up, Hartenstein is just looking like a little rag doll. You know, like he's got no shot. Mitchell Robinson's got no shot. When Joel is right, he's as right as anybody playing basketball today because he's got the whole package. We've been over this and over this and over this. But with Joel in the postseason, it's always something. Always something is going a little wrong. And I'm going to say it again, just for the record. You brought it up. Joel now in postseason series is 5-7. So this is an MVP. You know, this is the reigning MVP. He's 5-7. In games in the postseason, he's 29-30. Well, that's not right. But he's never been always quite right because it's got a knee and he's got Bell's palsy and he's got a migraine and he's got an upset stomach and he's got something and he's never quite in supreme shape that is required to get you through a game of that sort of ferocity. It's just being played at such a high level. It's almost like a boxing match. You know, your arms are about to fall off because you're going at each other so hard. You better have some juice left when it matters the most. And the Knicks had more juice in the fourth quarter because, to Keyshawn's point, everybody contributed a little bit or a lot in the fourth quarter. Not just Jalen Brunson, although he was sensational, but everybody came to the party. And Maxey did come to the party with 12 points in the fourth quarter, but not like he had been in the previous game. And Joel in the fourth quarter went quiet, and to me, he just gets gassed. I mean, he runs out of gas. He's not, obviously, he couldn't play the last, whatever it was, 4 or 6 weeks of the season. And he got 1 rebound in the fourth quarter. It's wrong, man. I'm telling you, it's wrong. He's better than 1 rebound in the fourth quarter.
By Anunoby. Okay, at home. Like, come on. You're at home. You got everything going for you. Like, Philly was supposed to put them away. These guys got 7 players they're playing. You got Josh Hart looking like the next Dennis Rodman at 6'4" out here that can make threes when it counts. Like, they just mentally abused the Philadelphia 76ers. Like,
so
it just wasn't close.
Remember, on the Anunoby dunk, they're up 9 with 2:43 left, and I'm thinking, lights out, man.
Yeah, I didn't think that.
And all of a sudden, I look up, and it's tied because of Maxey's goaltend and one. It's tied, and that's 34 seconds left. Help me out here. I'm looking at one team has Joel Embiid and the other team doesn't, except the team without Joel Embiid won the backboards 48-46. Why? Because they had 20 out of 48 were offensive rebounds. 20 out of 48? And I'm looking at this.
Josh had 6 offensive rebounds.
6 out of his 14. 6 out of 14 are offensive rebounds? And wait a second. Hartenstein has 5 out of 9 are offensive rebounds. And wait a second, Mitchell Robinson has 6 out of 9 are offensive rebounds.
That's just a mentality.
Okay? It is.
It's just
we want this worse than you want, right?
But we saw that from game 1. And then we saw it game 2. We figure, okay, we gotta fight. Philly gotta fight back. Come on. Swing back. Swing back. Even though Philly won, I just feel like still Knicks were a little more physical, and they just carried that in this series. That's intimidating to a team that just pushes you around, gets loose balls, yelling, knocking down big shots. That's intimidating.
It is.
And Philly couldn't match that.
Couldn't match it.
They couldn't match it all series long, and I'm shocked that they even got 2 games. Like, especially after the way the first 2 games went.
Fair point.
I'm shocked that they got the 2 games.
Points in the paint last night, 42-34.
Yeah, they just
second chance points, 27-19. You're going to lose, man. You're going to lose.
But you're going to lose because the guy who covers the paint can't. He just can't do anything. Can't move.
There we are. Okay.
Can't do anything.
So that sums it up. So when you say it's as simple as Jalen Brunson, to me, the reverse of that, it's as simple as Joel just wasn't able to be Joel.
Yeah, you're right. The reverse of that could be as simple as.
I can't buy that skin. I mean, Joel was Joel up until the fourth quarter. But you got to get something from these other guys. Like, look, Tobias, I get it. The offense is not running through you. You're not getting the opportunities. But look, give me some rebounds.
But if I'm on the floor,
give me some defensive stops.
I don't know.
On the floor for 30
you know what I'm saying? If you're on the floor, there's a way to contribute. And this is when I tell players. And this is when I play, Skip. I'm like, listen, you might not get the ball. You might not, the shots might not fall. It might not be your night. But what can you do to help your team win? And Tobias, what you can do, you can go rebound. You can get to the line. You can draw fouls. You can be an annoyance to them.
You can't.
Like, come on. Look what if Josh Hart didn't score, he still gave you 14 rebounds and 7 assists.
Yep.
That's an impact on the game.
Yep.
So to play 30 minutes and to just for 4 rebounds, 3 assists, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't care about the scoring. The scoring, that could come and go.
Yeah.
But the effort's got to be there when you got the game of your life on the line
Yeah.
to either win and extend the series or you're going home, and this is what you come up with.
That is true. In fact, it got so bad with Tobias Harris, he took a shot in the fourth quarter from the baseline, a little baseline jumper,
Yeah.
and I was like, I forgot he's a Sixer. Oh, like he's out there,
He was
right?
out there.
Yeah.
He did 30
he
minutes
missed
of cardio.
Yeah, he did 30 minutes of cardio.
Now the watch comes, right? What's going to happen moving forward with the Sixers? What's going to happen moving forward with them, Skip?
They're going to have to reload. You got a good building blocks. You got Maxey. You can give him an extension, which they most likely will. You got Joel Embiid, the MVP. Hopefully he can somehow get healthy next year and get in better shape next year. But you got the foundation.
I assume they're going to make a big play for Paul George.
I think that would be a great move, depending on what happens with the rest of the Clippers season.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what may happen.
Yeah.
But that's a piece that I know that's a piece they can use.
Well, they could probably grab him. They could go back to the Jimmy Butler well, potentially. If Miami,
that well done dried up.
If Miami doesn't
He's
do
not
anything,
coming back to that.
Yeah.
You don't think they come back to that?
He's not going back to that.
You don't think he'll go back?
He usually burns his bridges as he leaves town.
And then
What was that Jimmy said? Him over me? What did he say about Tobias?
Yeah.
Y'all took him over me.
He did say that. Yeah.
And then you still got, and then Brandon Ingram could be out there. That's another name.
Yeah.
But Paul George, it seemed like that sounds like a fit if the Clippers doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, we still got the Lakers, hopefully, you know.
I mean, they got to get tougher. Like, we saw what happened to them versus the Knicks. I mean, whatever moves they make, they got to get tougher. They got to be a team that, like, look, they can use a Josh Hart or an Anunoby. They need a player that that the Philly fans can resonate with.
Yeah, I
because
understand.
what New York did represents New York, but it also represents Philly.
Yeah,
you know, that type of hard.
Maybe more Philly.
Maybe more, right? Because you look at Philly and you just think all across the sports world as a hard hat type of town.
Yeah.
You know, and they need to bring in players that fit that mold.
Yeah. Well, I thought Oubre was a big upgrade.
No, Oubre was fine. You can keep Oubre.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
Yeah.
But you got to figure out the rest of this roster and how do you get tougher and better.
All right. So last night.
By keeping that big dude healthy.
Yeah,
you got to get healthy. But 39, I mean, what I'm going to say about 39-13?
Nothing.
What I'm going to say about that?
What you're saying is 6-1 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, true that.
So check this out. Bench scoring last night. Sixers scored 42 in part because Buddy Hield scored 17 in the second quarter, but they had 42 bench points to 5 for the Knicks because Coach Thibodeau, he just doesn't play anybody else.
No,
they just don't do it. They're like
7 deep.
They're going to get tired versus the Pacers.
It wasn't even really, to be honest with you, it's really 6 deep.
Pacers
They are.
McBride, he got 9 minutes, but that ain't.
The Pacers going to run, and they're going to get tired.
Yeah.
You ain't going to be if this series go to like 6 or 7 games, they're going to get tired.
Yeah. Miles McBride played next to nothing, but I do remember a shot he made in the fourth quarter because it was a big one. He made a big three, right? So they were hitting on all the right cylinders at the right time.
They look in shape right now, but I'm telling you, Pacers going to give them a run for their money.
So if they got to y'all, what's going to happen? If y'all get to them.
Teams going to run. They're going to be ran into the ground by the time they get to the conference finals.
That's not what I asked you, though. I'm asking you what's going to happen.
What you think going to happen?
I seen them beat y'all a month ago.
Man, we got
at home.
Man, we was already clinched. Man, come on.
We was already clinched, but we played all of our All-Stars. We played all of our max players. We played all of our All-Stars. But
I can't knock the Knicks. I mean, you know what? I can't knock them. They play hard. They play hard. And you got to match their energy. If you just match their energy, if you're more talented than them, you're going to beat them.
How about that, though, Skip? If the Knicks
and the Philadelphia 76ers didn't match their energy. But I will tell you what, Indiana Pacers are going to match their energy. You know, guys like Obi Toppin, they got guys that can go out there and
they do
and grind it out. And I believe that the depth of Indiana would be too much for them.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.